Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Keegan. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave those opinions down in the comment section. Big Sugar, brothers and sisters, are you ready? Big Sugar, Canadian rock band formed way back in 1988. Lead singer, lead guitarist, and main songwriter Gordie Johnson has been leading the way for the band since they started. This is the group's 5th studio album, not the band's most successful in sales, but still achieved gold status here in Canada, and actually charted the highest out of all of their albums, peaking at number 12. Will this album stand up to other classic Canadian albums? Let's find out as I review it track by track. Let's start this review off with the singles, with there being 4 of them. The first one being Nikitina, parentheses, She's All That, which does start off with this ear-grating, high-pitched horn of some sort, but immediately turns into this heavy rock jam. The guitar riff is extremely crunchy, especially when paired with a very punchy percussion. Lyrically, it's about this woman who gets compared to nicotine, coffee, and gambling, which is essentially an addiction. Take that as flattering if you want, I really don't find it as such. However, the instrumental leaves such a groovy mark, I can actually ignore that at times for such a fun melody. Not a bad song at all. The second single, Red Rover, which kicks off this album, has a lot more of a gritty and tough riff than Nikitina did. However, the overall vibe of this song seems to take inspiration from reggae music, which is also infused with rock on this album. So much so that the final verse of this song is actually a reggae verse from an uncredited source. I personally think the outro goes on for a little bit too long, for nearly a minute and a half. It does seem a lot more like an introduction, but in all honesty, it's a little bit too lackluster to carry around. The third single, All Hell for a Basement, is one of the group's more popular songs, and I can totally see why. This is a fantastic blues rock track, with Gordie's voice even getting a little bit deeper to accentuate this. Even the lyrics are a bit more bluesy related, with lyrics about hard labor and losing your way, escaping to Alberta, which is heaven. The instrumental is still nice and aggressive, yet also strangely soothing at the same time. The song also has a nice banjo breakdown near the end, which is a very nice touch. Very lovely song, check this one out. And the fourth and final single, Oh Canada, which is literally just a rock-flavored instrumental of the Canadian national anthem. No vocals or nothing. I mean, it's endearing, but I really don't see the point in keeping this around unless you're extremely patriotic and love this band at the same time. I mean, it works for what it is, but I'm not gonna bother with it. Now for the rest of the tracks. Nashville Grass is a little bit more of a slow burn. It takes less from direct rock and roll and combines the two subgenres of this album, those being blues rock and reggae. Gordie's voice, however, seems to be stuck in this reggae tone, even when it picks up to a bit more of a gritty blues rock style, making his voice just feel like it has less impact overall. Despite there being a pretty awesome guitar solo for the refrain, lyrically it seems to be a little bit more of a tribute to fallen soldiers who were buried on Nashville grass. Then again, I may be wrong. Not a bad song at all. She Left Ashes sounds just like a nice rock song straight out of the 60s, something the Beatles or the Stones would have done around that same time period. Unfortunately, the song really doesn't pick up much over its 4-minute runtime, so it stays at this exact same monotone level for the whole song, which unfortunately just makes it less engaging in the long run. Lyrically, it's really simply about a breakup, and how he played with fire, she left him in ashes after he burned up too much in the relationship. It's fine, I don't think I'm going to keep it around. So Not Over is just a nice, standard rock song. The guitar riff is very traditional, yet still has a bit of a grunge edge to it. Gordie's voice also seems to have a nicer punch this time. It blends in pretty well, and there's even an unexpected saxophone solo for the refrain. In my opinion, yet another outro goes on for a little bit too long, gets a little bit too repetitive for me. Lyrically, it's just about trying to convince this woman it's not over despite what she says. Honestly, it's not the best here, but it's certainly not the worst either. Butterball is probably my favorite track here for several reasons. For one, this groove is undeniable. The guitar is extra crunchy on this one, and the bass is extremely infectious and fun. This is the album's version of a party jam, even including yet another sax solo. Gordie's voice has the most punch that it's had on this entire album up to this point. It helps make this song feel so alive. Lyrically, I think it's meant to be a food song, because Butterball is a brand of turkey, but he's singing it like it's some sort of sexy romantic song. I mean, at this point, they're interchangeable, so whatever. I still love the song, even if it is some silly song about turkey. Bump on the Head is a rather chill blending of genres. The bassline and guitar are so captivating and are reminiscent of some grunge, while Gordie's vocals and everything else feel a little bit more like reggae, giving the song a bit of a breezy quality. It's quite nice, however, aside from a very minor pickup in the middle of the song, it stays at this exact same tone for 4 minutes and 13 seconds, a little bit too long in my opinion. Lyrically, it's basically about how love is unexpected, just like a bump on the head and how it hurts, whatever that means. Honestly, I'm not too crazy about this one. Lost and Found has a lot more of an overall mellow feel to it, definitely embracing more of the reggae style, almost to the point where it's folk rock. Gordy's voice sounds absolutely perfect over this kind of instrumental. It just blends with this quieter percussion and light guitar. Lyrically, however, it's a little bit more tough, being about how he's been lost and lonely for so many years, pretending how people aren't around, but now he's actually been found and appreciates the world a bit more, albeit it did take him some time. Honestly, it's a pretty good song. Bad Old Days is a nice little play on the saying Good Old Days, which is also a fairly nice song. The song has yet another engaging bass line and some pretty catchy drum work to boot as well. Gordy's vocals feel slightly out of place. He's a little bit out of his element on this track in particular. Lyrically, it's just about the bad old days, whether it was in the past or how the bad old days are actually happening right now. This track, in my opinion, is the album's version of filler. It's fine for what it is, but not many are going to remember this one in the track list. We Could Live goes full-blown reggae on this album, practically ditching any rock elements entirely. While Gordy's voice still does fit in really well, I dare say it fits in a little bit too well. In fact, his soft delivery over this instrumental feels like something I would fall asleep to, not smoke marijuana to. Lyrically, the title says it all. They could live happily if they were together in this relationship. If I'm being 100% honest, it's kind of a boring song. Probably my least favorite here. And finally, Pretty Bird, which was actually the first song I heard from this band. In my opinion, this is the song that properly mixed reggae and rock that seem to be the main focuses of this album, maybe leaning a little bit more towards reggae, but whatever. This is the song that I think Gordy's voice blends the best on. It has that tropical style to it, especially when paired with a more summery, trumpet-accented instrumental. I can't quite tell if the little girl mentioned in this song is meant to be a partner or a daughter, but it doesn't make much of a difference. Even having a bit of a reggae verse on this song as well, it's pretty damn good. Overall, this album does have a very consistent sound, however at times it just gets a little bit too consistent and predictable. Sometimes this style just goes on for too long without any pickups, and sometimes Gordy's voice completely does not fit in. However, I don't mind this album too much, almost having the same quality as The Police at times, but overall not as astounding as The Police. I'm feeling about a 6.5 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.